and a topic that also comes with long-term relationships. And, well, it's a huge topic in general, which is erectile dysfunction, the famous, "it won't get up, what's wrong with me?" Is this something that really concerns you in consultation? Yes, it's one of the main reasons men come to consultation. And in fact, as I was telling you, we have a patented method from the number of men who have come. And look, I'm going to tell you something. It's not something that only happens in long relationships. It happens to many men precisely the first few times until they gain confidence. That's very common. I'm Dr. Melani Rubio, a urologist and sex therapist with over 10 years of experience. And today I want to talk in detail about erectile dysfunction. How can a man who has this problem improve it? Where does he have to start? What does he have to do to try to solve it? This is very simple. Here, we have to look for the exception to the rule. If you never have erections, not in the mornings when you wake up, nor spontaneous ones, if it's very difficult for you to masturbate, there are many men who masturbate even without an erection. And of course, it happens with your partner. It looks like there's something organic. You should see a doctor. But if there are exceptions, for example, it goes down with my partner, but I masturbate fine. From time to time, I wake up with an erection, or they occur spontaneously. When men relax, sometimes it happens. Well, if you limp, and if not, it's that you limp sometimes for a reason, then it's situational. There's a psychological element there. We have to take into account that 80% of erection problems have a psychological origin, not physical. Wow, what's the problem we have? You go to the doctor, the urologist tells you it doesn't have a physical root, but still gives you medicine. Can you explain why he gives you medicine for a disease you don't have? Which would be the famous Viagra, right? Yes, or derivatives. Normally they're derivatives similar to Viagra. Then guys start taking it, and many come and say, "I'm very young, how am I going to spend my whole life taking this?" Or, "I don't want to medicate because I don't like it," or, "Well, thank goodness, because this is a big problem." This is another problem with guys who consume it recreationally or to perform after partying and then don't function because they've gotten used to the medication. Guys also come to me like this, recreational consumers it's called. This is no joke because your body stops doing it naturally. So this is important. Well, the first thing then is to see if there's a physical origin. Because sometimes it can be a circulatory problem, there are many diseases and many medications that affect this. Even if it's something physical that you have to take medicine for, there's always a psychological part because the mental part. So that always has to be worked on, and the help of a therapist is always needed. It's rare that medicine by itself solves it because you create expectations, it's going to happen to me again. Those dramas make it not work. So my first task, what we always work on in consultation, is to see what physical factors exist. A sex therapist also knows how to do that, and if not, they send you to do lab tests. And then we always work in all programs. Within the consultation, we work with 3 pillars: physical part, mental part, and relational part, whether you have a partner or not. This is very important because there are many men who think, if I don't have a partner, I can't. So we work on these 3 guidelines. And to give you a summary of something initial, we could start with pelvic floor work. Super important. The man's pelvic floor, super important. It's the closest thing to a natural Viagra. Let me tell you, some kind of natural Viagra. I've been told that the pelvic floor is trained as if you were holding that circle. It's like when you interrupt the stream. Imagine that you interrupt the stream, like when the stream from the floor is the muscle. Let's see, without moving your trunk or your glutes or your legs. Look, I'll explain it to you more fun. Please, have you ever made your penis move like it's saying hello? Ah, yes, that's silly. Well, that involves a series of muscles that you can move without being erect. Automatically, all the men listening to the podcast in the car driving and saying, "Wow, very good." It's good because you can do this anytime and anywhere. Nobody notices. You do it at rest. You don't need to be erect, of course. That unintentionally is a contraction of the sphincter, or it seems to me also against it. Look, it's true. There are guys who locate it more in the anus. Yes, you can do it now and I won't notice. Yes, we're doing it, in fact. Okay, We work on that. Yes, yes, very good. All guys, girls too. Okay, very good. Working the pelvic floor is essential to improve all the functioning of those tissues and muscle groups, to improve blood circulation, erections, ejaculatory control, muscle control. It involves many things, and later within therapeutic programs, when you master these exercises well, we'll teach you to use them during sexual relations for the objective you pursue. That's advanced level, physical part, mental part. We're going to start working on these mindfulness tools. We're going to work on your insecurities, your self-esteem. We're going to start there. Many times I recommend maybe readings or pieces of books that I send them, things I write. Any small mindfulness tip? That is, I meditate before entering the game, or how do we do it? No, forget that stuff. You have to take care that your partner is having a good time in other things, right? But look, we can practice something. Those listening to us in the car, for example, now or in the shower or whenever they want. I'm putting a challenge for today. If there's something that's worrying you and that you can't take care of now, especially if it's sexual, for example, your erection for the next occasion. Remember this that we're talking about. You're forbidden to think about it. Every time it comes to your mind, I want you to think about something else. I don't care what. Think whatever you want, my red jacket. Then Nayara's red jacket. That's it. And I don't think about this anymore. And when it comes back to your mind, again, it seems silly, but this diversion of attention makes you start to develop mental control and decide what stays in your mind and what doesn't. It's very difficult. This is super difficult. But it's a start and a minute that you win from your mind, a minute that you win in a sexual relationship, of peace, of being there focused, of enjoying. So it's something very basic. It's difficult to achieve, but we can try. In the end, nobody has taught us about the mind, but it's a muscle, just like the rest of our body. It's training, and in the end, it works. Okay, that about the mental part, and then the relational part. I directly prohibit sexual relations for many guys because, let's see, you're not going to do the same thing you've been doing until now. Or we see what's happening in their relationship. Many sexual problems come because behind there was one here. Behind there's a big couple problem, communication, abuse, mistreatment. Wow. And there's a lot of mistreatment of men, too, especially psychological complexes of, she compared me with her ex, their small things, jealousy. Oof. There's a lot behind it. And sometimes changing the couple's dynamic suddenly solves the problem. And what can the woman do so that the man is calmer and doesn't have so many erection problems? Does she also have responsibility? Huge. Of course she does. The first thing we have to do is not turn this into a drama. But if you turn it into a drama, just pay and let's go. Normalize it. Well, of course, it has nothing to do with that. In fact, it's proven that the more a man likes you, the more he pressures himself to perform and the worse it goes. I have many guys in consultation who tell me, I do well with everyone and with the one I like, with that I can't. Of course, because you want to be up to par, right? So women have to change this, and the most important thing is, well, we're going to enjoy in other ways, be clear. The sexual relationship doesn't end because you can't, or because you finished. Very important. We can play something else. And then the responsibility part. Okay, yes, this is normal, I take it calmly, but friends, if this repeats, we seek help. And I won't allow you to drag it out over time and destroy our intimate life. Because many women, well, the other day I did a survey on my Instagram experimentando, and they told me 32% often I'm left halfway because he goes too fast. It's a joke. 32% of women, girl, take your responsibility, it's solved quickly like you say it, and that's it. It doesn't go that fast. Well, no, but because he's a premature ejaculator. Ah, okay. Or he goes very fast, or he finishes, and then I'm left halfway. Of course, communicate it and look for the solution to improve. Of course, totally. I shared this in the WhatsApp group because I have different WhatsApp communities both with them and with them. I say, how can this be? They get into fights sometimes. It's over, right? Yes. Of course. Are we going to change the topic? I was going to touch on the second dynamic, but we can continue with this. Where? No, to finish the erection part. We talked before that people of 60, 70, and 80 years old have sex. How does erection work in these people? Generally, the erection becomes, you can calculate a man's age by his erection angle. What are you saying? Okay. Yes, if the man is vertical, like a sundial. The closer. What do you think? You haven't heard. It's very good. I'll leave it for you. I'll leave it for you for the next book. Come on. When the guy is very young, if the guy is vertical, the erection almost touches his belly. As we add age, it goes down, and what's normal in a very old man is that it's at 90 degrees or a little more. Okay, pelvic floor work, but there's a point at which it no longer gets up. No, that's a lie. That is, at 80 years old, it still gets up. Well, we have hope. I've had men over 80, hypertension, I don't know what, and that upwards, right? And he calls me and says, no, I'm going back to the urologist. Plus, they're very nice. Wow, what madness, huh? I didn't know this. Yes, no, totally. My goodness. So, for example, pelvic floor work helps the angle to drop less. Why? Because the area is toned. Okay. Just like us, well, it happens to you too, but more to us here, right? This little skin, well, it's the same. This is very, very important, and I don't remember what the question was. Yes, how do these people maintain those erections? Or do they have to be accompanied by Viagra or not? Nothing. Like that, no, they don't have to. Let's see, there are, yes, but it's not because of age, it's because of associated diseases and medications. Of course, and because of the attitude, like I'm very old, it's normal that this doesn't work. No, that's a lie. So I work the same with a healthy 80-year-old man as with a 25-year-old guy. Same protocol, but they still have libido at 80 years old. Oh, of course, if they want, because this never runs out and neither do we. Curious, huh? Yes. For you ladies, do you have to do something different for people over, 65 years or something like that? Look, the best predictor is sexual activity. If you have pleasurable and continued sexual activity, that's going to go well. It's going to prevent genital atrophy, because that's what causes that genital atrophy. What's not used breaks down. Women who normally need extra lubrication, and that's it. Yeah. And pelvic floor work, it's similar, right? And then attitude, knowing how to enjoy, knowing how to make the changes that correspond to your body, because your body is also changing its sensitivity, pleasures, closures will also change, right? It can already be very risky for people to break, depending on age, right? But well, maybe there's not so much penetration and it changes to other types of practices, but sexuality can be super full. Look, I remember this when I told it was one of my most viral videos too, a woman. I think she was 83, and she came and told me that she'd been widowed and that she wanted to have an orgasm before dying. I told her, don't worry, it's only going to take one session if I need a second one. She calls me, but I never saw her again. She called me that yes. Why is this going to end? And what did you tell her? What do you mean? What did you tell her? What did you tell her in that session? Well, I taught her a little anatomy, how to stimulate herself. And that's it. She did it, and oh, magic. Of course, because never, of course, even though she's 90 years old, she had never talked about that topic even with friends. She had never touched herself, didn't know what the clitoris was like, didn't know anything about her body. Of course, we're talking about people from another era. Of course, 80 years ago versus now. My goodness.